Revealed, the incredible $62 million secret that transformed my family's life forever. Jake Rogers never imagined that his life could change in an instant, but the stormy afternoon began it all. The wind howled outside his small Midwestern home, mirroring the relentless chaos inside. Rummaging through the attic for anything that could lighten the mounting burden, he discovered his late grandmother's charm bracelet. Just like that, he was yanked back into a past filled with warmth, laughter, and love. Each charm adorned with tiny intricate designs reminded him of her stories, the music of her laughter echoing in his heart. His hands trembled as he held it, a precious heirloom from generations past, but when he learned its hidden value $62 million at auction his world spun. This bracelet wasn't just a relic, it was a golden ticket out of the survival mode he had been in for far too long. Jake's heart raced, visions of a brighter future for his two kids swirled in his mind. No more sleepless nights over bills, finally enough food in the fridge, maybe even a trip to the beach. Hope flooded through him like a rush of adrenaline. His joy was quickly shadowed, though. Whispers soon filled the town, neighbors buzzing with excitement and opinions. Some urged him to sell it and invest in a better life for his children. Others, knowing the bracelet's significance, insisted he keep it as a reminder of family ties and sacrifice. The joy of possibility wrestled with the weight of legacy. Jake felt the pull in his chest, an ache to honor his roots while wrestling with the promise of prosperity. Jake found solace in the faces of his supportive community. Every meal shared, every hand that helped mend a fence reminded him of the resilience they all shared. These were the people who stood by him when he struggled. His neighbor Mary, a widow with a generous spirit, dropped off homemade chicken soup, while old Mr. Jenkins offered to babysit anytime. They recognized the quiet strength he possessed and rallied around him. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the days went by, Jake's anguish deepened when a shady dealer appeared on his doorstep, eyes glinting with predatory intent. He made an offer that made Jake's heart race, tempting him with quick money, enticing but dangerously hollow promises. Memories of his grandmother flooded back. Her laughter, her endless stories about hard work, family, and making the right choices. Could this stranger understand what that bracelet meant? Could he possibly value legacy, love, and family history as much as Jake did? With the pressure mounting and stakes higher than ever, Jake felt torn. His heart ached as he faced the looming decision: would he betray his ancestors for financial security? When he finally stood before the community, their faces anxious and expectant, he realized he was not just a single father anymore, but a beacon of hope in a community brought together by love and support. The bracelet had become more than a relic, it was now a symbol of everything worth fighting for. The whispers swelled around him, leaving him at a pivotal crossroads. What would he choose, and could he bear the weight of his decision? Jake stood at the front of the gathering, every eye fixed on him. The weight of countless expectations pressed down like the storm clouds still lingering in the sky. His heart raced in protest, a steady drumbeat of uncertainty and hope. The truth was, he didn't just wrestle with the fate of the bracelet, he battled with what it truly represented, the very essence of family, tradition, and the love that had shaped him. The whispers grew louder, filling the spaces between them. "Sell it, Jake, it's your chance," someone urged from the crowd. Another voice chimed in, "But what about the memory of your grandmother?" Their opinions floated in the air like the scent of fresh-baked bread, comforting yet suffocating. Do you honor her memory by keeping a piece of jewelry or by making something of yourself? The dealer's slick words echoed in his mind. His grandmother would never have wanted him to compromise. Her spirit was a fire that urged him to choose integrity over temptation. With a deep breath, Jake took a step forward. "Look, I understand where everyone is coming from," he began, his voice steady. I want a better life for my kids. He gazed into the faces of those who had supported him over the years, feeling the warmth of their belief wrapping around him like a security blanket. But that bracelet isn't just money. It's a reminder of who we are, where we came from. He felt the swell of emotion catch in his throat, the memory of his grandmother's smile flickering behind his eyes. If I sell it, am I selling out everything she stood for? The crowd fell silent, as if the very spirit of his grandmother had swept through them, leaving a breathless pause. Who were they to dictate the worth of a legacy? It was more than dollars, it was a connection, a story that had been shared over generations. As Jake collected his thoughts, a flicker of resolution sparked inside him. Maybe, just maybe, I can find a way to honor her and provide for my children. Can't we have both? Hope danced in the air, tangling with the tension. Everyone shifted, leaning in, feeling the onset of something transformative. He looked to his right, where Mary stood clutching her soup bowl, eyes glistening with understanding. You can, Jake. We'll help together. The warmth of her support threaded through him. It wasn't just about him anymore, it was about unity and the dictates of community love, but just as those positive thoughts began to take flight, Jake's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, glancing down at the name flashing on the screen. His heart sank. It was a message from the shady dealer, laden with threats and promises of capture. You made a decision already. A chill ran up Jake's spine, the storm inside him clashing with the storm outside. I can't do this alone, he whispered, panic threading through his voice as his mind raced. He felt trapped. Suddenly, the door swung open, and there he stood, the dealer from before, smirk plastered across his face like a mask. I think you know it's too late for choices now, Jake. The community gasped collectively, transforming the room into a tumult of fear and anticipation. In that moment, Jake questioned everything. He had thought he was on a path of honor, but now, a challenge loomed larger than before. What was he going to do? Would he stand firm against the forces trying to tear him apart, or would he buckle under the pressure? As the storm raged outside, Jake could feel another storm brewing, one that could upend everything he fought for. The bracelet dangled in his mind, its weight heavier than he ever imagined. Jake's heart thudded in his chest as he faced the dealer, a figure he had only seen before in shadows, now illuminated by the tension in the room. The smirk on the dealer's face was an unsettling balance of confidence and menace, as if he held all the cards in a high-stakes game. Jake, you've been dodging me. But I think it's time to make this official. The dealer stepped further inside, the door creaking ominously behind him. The air crackled with fear, but Jake stood his ground, uncertainty clawing at him. He looked around at his friends and family, their expressions a tapestry of concern and anger. Mary shifted, her brow furrowed, hands trembling slightly. What do you want? Jake asked, his voice steadier than he felt. Simple. That bracelet. You've had your time to think, but I'm here to collect now. The dealer leaned in, his presence suffocating. It's worth more than you could imagine. Just let it go, and you can live a life free from this burden. What burden? My family's history. My grandmother's love. Jake snapped back, feeling the heat rise in his cheeks. The dealer's eyes flickered, amused. History. Love. Those things don't pay your bills. They won't put food on your kids' tables. Think about it. The dealer's voice was smooth, almost persuasive. It struck a nerve deep within Jake, forcing him to confront the fear he had been denying. In that moment, a flash of memory pierced through his thoughts, the sound of laughter in his grandmother's kitchen, the smell of her famous apple pie, her stories of resilience that knitted their family closer. He couldn't let this man strip that away. I won't sell it, Jake declared, feeling a wave of resolve swim over him. It's not for sale. The tension grew palpable, hanging in the air as the dealer's demeanor hardened. The smiles on the faces in the crowd faded, replaced with wide eyes and quickened breaths. They gathered closer together, like a protective barrier, signaling their support. Think you're brave? Let us see how brave you are when you have to explain this to your kids. The dealer stepped back, holding up his phone. Remember this face. Jake's stomach flipped. He hadn't been thinking about the repercussions beyond the bracelet or what he had to lose if he continued to defy the dealer. Now, regret washed over him like icy water. I'm not afraid of you, Jake retorted, more as a challenge to himself than the dealer. You don't get to dictate my choices. My family means everything to me. A hush fell over the gathering once again. Everyone watched with bated breath, waiting for the dealer's response, praying for a way to break the tension. The dealer chuckled, a dark sound that echoed against the walls. You can cling to your little ideals, but the real world doesn't work that way, Jake. Remember, every action has a consequence. Jake could feel the heat of anger coursing through him, but beneath it lay a cool flicker of clarity. If you want the bracelet so badly, then you're going to have to take it from me. I won't back down. The words came out bold, a declaration of defiance that rumbled through him like thunder, but the dealer stepped back, waving a hand dismissively. I won't need to take it from you. Just remember this conversation when everything falls apart around you. With that, he turned and strode out, leaving behind a heaviness in the air that seemed to wrap around them like a cold vice. As the door clicked shut, Jake felt the adrenaline wash away, replaced by a blend of lingering dread and hope. He looked at Mary, whose eyes shone with unshed tears. What do we do now? An uncertain silence enveloped the crowd, and Jake's mind raced with questions. He looked around at those gathered, remembering their unwavering support. We fight. Together. We'll protect this legacy, no matter the cost. And as murmurs of agreement erupted among the crowd, a renewed sense of unity surged through him, pushing away the shadows of fear. But deep down, he knew that this battle was only just beginning, and something darker lurked just around the corner, waiting to challenge everything he held dear. What was the dealer planning next, and would Jake's newfound resolve be enough to shield his family from the coming storm? Jake sat down on the worn wooden steps of his porch, his head in his hands. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm glow over the neighborhood, but he felt an icy chill creeping into his bones. The faces of his family and friends lingered in his mind, they were counting on him. The weight of the dealer's words echoed in his thoughts, and a knot tightened in his stomach. Mary joined him, her expression a mixture of determination and worry. Jake, you know this isn't just about the bracelet anymore. He's going to come back, and we need a plan. Her voice trembled slightly, but her eyes were hard. I know, Jake sighed, overwhelmed. I didn't think standing up for what matters would put all of you at risk. She placed a steadying hand on his shoulder. You did what you had to do. That man was threatening everything we stand for. But we need to protect ourselves too. Jake glanced around, and people started to gather on the lawn. Neighbors had come to show their support in the wake of the confrontation. The dealer's warning hung in the air, a shadow casting doubt over their unity. They'll see this as a power move. The last thing we want is to look weak, Jake voiced his fears, feeling urgent eyes watching him. I can't let them see me falter now. We need to go on the offensive, Mary suggested. We have to learn more about him. Who he is, what he wants. You can't fight what you don't understand. But how? I have no idea where to even begin. Frustration flared within him. They were thrust into a world filled with dangers they had only just begun to comprehend. Mary squared her shoulders. And you won't have to do it alone. I'll help, and so will the others. We can figure this out as a team. Besides, remember what your grandmother used to say. Knowledge is power. Jake felt a spark of hope, the shadows in his mind shifting slightly as he remembered the stories of resilience his grandmother had shared. She had fought against her own battles, guiding their family through adversity with her wisdom. Okay. Together, he agreed, his voice stronger. Let us find out what we're dealing with. But we have to be careful. The group began to talk among themselves, discussing strategies and ways to gather information. Ideas ranged from doing online searches to reaching out to old friends who might have insights. Each voice felt like a thread woven tightly in a fabric of unity. Suddenly, a commotion erupted from the back of the crowd. Someone shouted, "Look!" And all eyes turned toward the street. There, standing under the dimming light, was a tall figure. It was the dealer again, his presence unmistakably looming. "Jake!" Thought I'd drop by, he called out, his voice dripping with mock cheerfulness. The unsettling smirk returned, and the crowd shifted uneasily. Without thinking, Jake stepped forward, fists clenched. "What do you want?" "I think you know why I'm here," the dealer replied, his tone dropping into a low growl. "Time to deliver on that promise of yours, or things are going to get messy, very messy." Jake's heart raced as he felt the tension spike in the air. This was it, the confrontation he had been dreading. He looked back at Mary and the others, their faces scribbled with anxiety. "Stay back," he instructed, his voice now seeping with determination. This time, he wouldn't back down. But deep inside, a gnawing fear loomed, whispering that the worst had yet to come. What game was the dealer playing, and how far was he willing to go to get what he wanted? Jake braced himself. The storm had only just begun, and he was at its eye. Would he be able to hold everything together, or was this just the beginning of an unimaginable chaos? Jake could feel the weight of the dealer's gaze on him, pressing down like a thick fog. The space between them was electric, charged with unspoken threats. Mary's hand squeezed his arm with an urgency that both soothed and heightened his anxiety. "Don't let him get to you," she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. The dealer stepped closer, taking advantage of the moment. "It's simple, really. I want what you took from me. That bracelet isn't just jewelry, it's a key to something much bigger." His eyes danced with a cruel glimmer that made Jake's stomach churn. "Key to what?" Jake shot back, forcing the words as they burned on his tongue. He refused to show fear, but every nerve in his body screamed for him to retreat. The dealer chuckled softly, the sound grating against the palpitating silence of the crowd. "You're smarter than you look, Jake. But this isn't a game. That piece of metal holds secrets, secrets I need to reclaim. You meddled in my affairs, and for that, there will be consequences." Jake stood tall, heart pounding in his chest. "Consequences? Is that a threat? What do you plan to do?" The words tumbled out, a mix of challenge and desperation. "Let's just say your friends might not be so supportive when things get real," the dealer replied, a dangerous smile curling at the corners of his mouth. Around him, he could sense the crowd tensing, mothers pulling kids closer, men crossing their arms defiantly. "Stay together!" Jake shouted, trying to rally their spirit, even as fear flickered through his mind. The dealer shrugged nonchalantly. "Unity can only carry you so far, my friend. You have a choice to make. Either hand over the bracelet, or watch it all crumble." Jake bit his lip, his thoughts racing. Could he really give it up? The bracelet wasn't his, but returning it could mean protection for everyone. The idea knotted his insides, but was surrendering really the answer? "Tell us what this secret is," Mary called out, stepping forward, her courage shining like armor. "What will giving you the bracelet really change? What are you hiding?" The dealer's expression darkened. "Some things are better left buried. Trust me, you don't want to know. This town is safer if you don't dig deeper." Jake exchanged a glance with Mary, both feeling the pull of the unknown. "We won't back down," he declared. "If it comes down to it, we'll face whatever it is together." For a moment, the dealer's eyes flared in surprise, a brief crack in his facade. Then he leaned in closer, lowering his voice. "Brave words. But let us see how brave you all are when push comes to shove. I'll be watching. Remember, my patience is running thin." With that, he turned and walked away, leaving behind a cloud of anxious whispers. The crowd exhaled slowly, releasing breaths that had been held tightly. Confusion reigned, but so did a flicker of determination in Jake's chest. Mary turned to him, her brow furrowed. "What do we do now?" He looked around at the worried faces of friends and neighbors. "We dig. We find out everything we can about him, and what this bracelet really is. We've come too far to let this man intimidate us into submission." A wave of agreement surged through the group, fire igniting in their hearts. They needed to know more, and they were willing to risk everything to uncover the truth. As they dispersed to form a plan, Jake felt a surge of resolve. He hadn't chosen this fight, but it was his now, and he would not let fear dictate his choices. But even as hope ignited in his heart, the chilling reminder of the dealer's threat lingered like a cold hand on his back. What if uncovering the truth brought danger they had never imagined? With uncertainty hanging heavy in the air, Jake looked down the dimming street. The dealer was just a figure now, blending into the shadows. How much darkness lay ahead, as the sun set behind the houses, a sense of foreboding wrapped itself around him. Just how far into the shadows were they willing to go to protect their own? Jake woke the next morning with the weight of the previous night pressing on his chest. Sunlight filtered through his window, but it did little to lift the heaviness in his heart. He rolled over, eyes landing on the bracelet resting on his nightstand, a delicate mix of gold and silver, glinting ominously. It felt like more than just jewelry, it felt like a ticking time bomb. Mary's determination from last night echoed in his mind as he got out of bed. They needed to act. Slowly, as he moved through the motions of getting dressed, doubt nagged at him. What if the dealer was right? What if the truth behind the bracelet sent them spiraling into a danger they could not comprehend? He pushed those thoughts aside. They had each other, and together they could face anything. After breakfast, he met Mary at the park, where their small group of friends, united in purpose, gathered. Their whispered conversations filled the air, a mix of anxiety and excitement that was palpable. "We need to split up," Jake began, knowing the decision would be met with resistance. "Find out everything we can about the dealer. Let's dig into his past and see what sort of secrets he is hiding." Some faces brightened with understanding. Others looked hesitant, the specter of danger lingering in the back of their minds. "What if he finds out?" One of their friends, Lucas, said, his voice shaky. "What if we make things worse?" Jake felt a familiar fire reignite within him. Staying in the dark won't change anything. We can't let fear control us. We have to take that chance. For our town, for our future. Mary nodded, her eyes sparkling with determination. "Jake's right. Gather information, see if we can find any connections. The dealer isn't just a shadow, he is a man with a history. We just need to uncover it." With a plan set into motion, they divided into smaller groups. Jake and Mary paired up, deciding to visit the local library. It was a treasure trove of history, a place that could hold the answers they sought. Each step they took felt significant, electrifying. As they entered the library, the scent of aged paper and dust greeted them, comforting yet urgent. Rows upon rows of shelves stretched out before them, a labyrinth waiting to be explored. They scanned the dusty volumes, looking for anything related to their foe. Hours passed, and frustration began to creep in. Maybe this was a bad idea, Jake sighed, rubbing his temples. Mary closed the book in her hands, her eyes shining with a new lead. "Wait. Look at this article." She pointed to a faded newspaper clipping. It displayed a photograph of the dealer from years ago, at the center of a scandal involving theft, deceit, and a town much like theirs that had been buried under suspicion and fear. Why didn't I recognize him? Jake wondered aloud, heart racing. This isn't just about us anymore. This is about a pattern, a danger he has inflicted before. Mary leaned closer, gulping. If he did this to them, what is stopping him from doing it to us? As reality set in, Jake's fear shifted to resolve. We need to get this information back to the others. They have to see the threat he poses. We're not alone in this, we need everyone to understand what we're up against. Just as they were about to leave, the door swung open, letting in a rush of cool air and an all-too-familiar figure. The dealer stood framed in the doorway, eyes scanning the quiet library as if he could sense them plotting against him. A fateful chill ran down Jake's spine. "What are you two doing here?" he called out, voice dripping with menace, shattering their fragile moment of triumph. Jake and Mary exchanged panicked looks, the rush of terror coursing through them. The dealer took a step closer, and they both knew, in that instant, there was no turning back. They were officially in the game now. What would the dealer do next? Would they be able to expose him before it was too late? Jake's heart pounded in his chest, each beat a warning echoing in the silence of the library. The dealer's presence felt like a dark cloud, suffocating the air around them. "What are you two doing here?" he repeated, taking another deliberate step forward, the door swinging shut behind him with a finality that sent a shiver down Jake's spine. Mary gripped Jake's arm, her fingers trembling. In that moment, he knew they had to act fast. We were just doing some research," Jake stammered, forcing the words out, trying to sound casual despite the fear that choked him. The dealer smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Research? In a place like this? You must be looking for something important." Jake risked a glance around the library. Could anyone else hear this? Could anyone help? The weight of the silence was unbearable. He glanced back at Mary, her eyes wide, fear evident in every line of her face. "Listen," Jake said, trying to steady his voice. "We're not looking for trouble. We just want to understand your past." The dealer's expression darkened. "Understanding can lead to consequences, Jake," he warned, voice low and dangerous. "You don't want to dig too deep. Some things have a way of biting back. What if the dealer made them disappear? What if the bracelet was indeed more dangerous than he had realized?" The thoughts flashed through Jake's mind like lightning, illuminating all his worst fears. "We can handle it," Mary interjected, surprising even Jake with her sudden confidence. "You don't scare us. We just want to know the truth." The dealer laughed, a sound that grated against Jake's nerves. "Truth is subjective, my dear. But be careful, you never know whose truth might shatter your world." Just as Jake's mind raced, he saw an opening, a way out. "We're going to tell everyone about you," he blurted out, feeling a surge of defiance. "You can't keep hiding behind your lies." The dealer's demeanor shifted. His eyes narrowed, and for a fleeting moment, his expression resembled a predator cornering its prey. "Oh, but I think you'll find it is in your best interest to walk away from this, Jake. Your friends won't believe you. They'll think you're crazy." "Not if we have the proof," Mary said, her voice strong. "We've already got your history. You can't scare us into silence." The dealer stepped closer still, his presence looming. "You really think you can turn this back on me?" he said, his voice barely above a whisper, yet filled with a dark intensity. "You have no idea what you're dealing with." Jake's stomach twisted. They had unwittingly stepped into dangerous territory. But as the fear welled up inside him, another feeling sparked determination. They had come too far, too close to the truth. They couldn't turn back now. "Let us go, Mary," Jake said. He started moving, pulling her with him, but the dealer blocked their path. "You're not going anywhere until we have a little chat." Jake felt his heart race anew, every nerve in his body screamed to run. All at once, he realized that they weren't merely being threatened, they were caught up in a game far beyond their understanding. "Stay close to me," he whispered to Mary as tension hung thick in the air. "Just trust me," she replied, her voice steadier than he felt. With a surge of courage, they pushed past the dealer, bodies brushing against his each step a gamble. But as they burst through the door, the chilling laughter from the dealer followed them, echoing in the hallways like a promise of trouble. "What now?" Mary asked, her breath coming in quick bursts. "We need to warn the others. We have to come back with a plan," Jake replied, determination hardening in his chest. Yet, as they stepped out of the library, the world felt different. Shadows seemed to stretch longer, and the air was thick with uncertainty. What if they couldn't reach their friends in time? The dealer had warned them, a reminder of the dangers that lay ahead. Now, with a powerful adversary lurking in the shadows, Jake felt the weight of their mission crushing down more than ever. What if we're not safe anymore? Mary asked, glancing around as if the dealer might appear at any moment. Then we fight, Jake said, resolute. Together. As they hurried through the park, the conversation buzzed all around them. But the laughter and chatter felt distant, as if they were in a bubble of fear and urgency. When they reached their friends, Jake took a deep breath, trying to gather his thoughts. The dealer wasn't just a man. He was a storm brewing on the horizon. And if they didn't brace for impact, everything they cherished could be lost. What would happen when they brought the truth to light? Would it empower them or put them directly in the dealer's crosshairs? Jake pushed through the throng of familiar faces in the park, searching for the comfort of his friends. But with every step, that icy chill from the library lingered at the back of his mind. They were no longer just a couple of kids in search of answers, they were tangled in something sinister, and now they had a target on their backs. Guys! Over here! He finally spotted them, gathered under the old oak tree: Beth, Ethan, and Lila. Their expressions shifted from casual joy to concern as they saw the panic in Jake's eyes. Mary was right beside him, her hand still gripping his arm like a lifeline. "What's wrong?" Beth asked, brow furrowed. The laughter they'd been sharing faded instantly, absorbed by the weight of Jake's seriousness. "We need to talk, now," Jake urged, voice low and urgent. "It's about the dealer." Lila leaned in closer. "What dealer?" "The one you said disappeared." "You found him?" "Worse," Jake replied, casting a quick glance around, hoping no one had followed them. "He knows we're looking into his past. We almost got cornered in the library. He warned us to back off." What did he say?" Ethan interrupted, his demeanor shifting as if anticipating a storm. "He said truths can shatter your world," Mary chimed in, her voice steady yet laced with fear. "I think he's hiding something really dangerous." Beth shot a glance at Ethan, her eyes wide. "Jake, you have to be careful. We can't back down," Jake asserted, his voice gaining volume and strength. "We have to figure out what is going on, and we need to do it fast before he makes a move." "Wait, why don't we go to the authorities?" Lila suggested, her anxiety rising. "If he's really a threat." "And what? Tell them we're looking into a dealer's past. They'll laugh us right out of the precinct," Jake countered. "They won't take us seriously. We need evidence first." Jake took a deep breath, feeling the weight in his chest. "We need to keep digging. Find out more about that bracelet, the one that connects him to everything." "Isn't it risky?" Beth asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if he finds out?" "What if then we make sure we're prepared," Jake said firmly. "We can't stop now. Not after coming this far." A determined resolve settled in, and the group exchanged glances, silently debating their next steps. Mary squeezed Jake's hand, sending a wave of reassurance through him. "We'll do this together, right?" she asked softly. "Always," he replied, words spilling out with conviction. They nodded, one by one, becoming a unified front. "I have some old contacts who might know more," Ethan finally spoke up, his tone shifting from uncertainty to determination. "If we dig deep enough, we can scrape together some leads." "Great idea," Jake said, feeling a sense of urgency surge in him. "Let us split up. Ethan, reach out to your contacts. Mary and I will look into the library's records. Beth and Lila, can you check with your families? Maybe someone has seen something." A plan formed, binding them together in a shared purpose. They began to shuffle away in separate directions, but Jake wasn't entirely at ease. The dealer's threat loomed, heavy like a storm cloud threatening to burst. As they dispersed, Jake turned back. "Remember, stay alert. He might be watching." The fleeting sense of safety evaporated as he watched their backs disappear into the park's thick foliage. Each footstep echoed with uncertainty, but also with the promise of truth. Later that night, after splitting up, Jake gathered the images of their findings in his mind, each piece fitting like a puzzle waiting to be completed. The dealer had something to hide, and Jake was convinced that finding that truth was the key to safeguard them all. But as they delved deeper, he couldn't shake the feeling that with every moment, they were drawing closer to something ominous. What if their search for answers unleashed a darkness they were unprepared for? Would they find what they were seeking, or would they ignite a greater danger? Jake woke to the sound of his phone buzzing violently against the nightstand. He rubbed his eyes and glanced at the screen, heart racing as he saw Ethan's name flash across it. "Jake? You awake?" Ethan's voice crackled, carrying a hint of urgency. "Yeah, what is going on?" Jake replied, fully alert now. "Meet me at the diner in 10. I found something big." "Okay, be right there," Jake said, grabbing his jacket and heading out. The chill in the air mirrored the knot in his stomach as he made his way through the dimly lit streets. This wasn't just about finding answers anymore, they were delving deeper into a world that thrived on shadows. When Jake arrived at the diner, the fluorescent lights flickered overhead, casting an eerie glow on the vinyl booths. Ethan was already at a corner table, a pile of papers spread out before him. His brow was furrowed, eyes darting toward the entrance as if expecting trouble. "Hey," Jake said, sliding into the booth. "What did you find?" Ethan took a deep breath. "It's about the dealer. I contacted one of my old friends from the neighborhood. He told me about a few things, stuff that connects the dealer to some pretty dangerous people." Jake leaned in, straining to catch every word. "Tell me everything." Ethan shuffled through the documents, pulling out a picture of a man with a cold smile standing beside a lavish car. "This guy is a major player. The dealer is just one of his pawns. If we're onto him, he might be looking for us." A chill rushed down Jake's spine. "So, what do we do? Hide?" "No," Ethan shook his head fiercely. "We need to get to the bottom of this. We can't back down now. We have to figure out how the bracelet fits into this. Look at this." He slid a newspaper clipping across the table. It detailed a string of incidents involving missing people, all linked to this man. Jake felt the blood drain from his face. Missing people? This is worse than I thought. A sudden thought struck him. What if the bracelet is a key or a marker for something deeper? Something that leads to the people behind all of this? Ethan's eyes widened. Exactly. If we can get our hands on that bracelet, we might be able to find out what they're hiding. And what if they find out we're digging? Jake asked, voice trembling slightly. Ethan reached out and placed a firm hand on Jake's wrist. They need to catch us first. And we're not going to make it easy for them. We'll need to move fast. Before Ethan could finish, the door swung open. A blast of cold air swept through the diner, drawing Jake's attention. A tall figure strode in, eyes immediately locking onto their booth. Jake's heart raced as the dealer slid into a booth across the room, his presence suffocating. The air thickened with tension, every breath feeling weighted. "Ethan, we need to go," Jake whispered urgently, adrenaline prickling up his spine, but as he leaned to make a hasty exit through the side door, he heard the dealer's voice, smooth and laced with danger. "I think we need to have a little chat, don't you?" An icy dread settled in Jake's gut. They had come too far into his territory already, and now, it felt like there was no turning back. They were in over their heads, and the stakes were higher than ever. What was the dealer really after? Questions flooded Jake's mind as he exchanged a glance with Ethan. Could they find a way out, or had they become pawns in a game far more dangerous than they ever imagined? Jake's heart pounded like a drum as he locked eyes with the dealer. The air felt electric, charged with unspoken threats and the weight of decisions yet to be made. Now, sitting across from this sinister figure, he was acutely aware of the stakes involved. The dealer leaned back in his seat, a smirk playing on his lips. "Glad to see you two are still playing the game. I didn't think you'd have the guts to keep going," he said, his voice smooth yet sinister. Ethan shot Jake a look, a mix of concern and trepidation. Jake felt the walls of the diner close in around them, the atmosphere thick with danger. There was no turning back now. They had already dug too deep. "What do you want?" Jake managed to ask, forcing his voice to be steady. He had to sound strong, for all of them. The dealer's smirk widened. "It's simple, really. I want what's mine. The bracelet holds more than you can fathom. It's a key to a legacy hidden within this community, and I intend to reclaim it," he said, leaning forward as if sharing a dark secret. Jake felt a shiver run down his spine. Was it really just a piece of jewelry? Or were their lives interwoven with the bracelet's past? Lives that could be in danger if they didn't act swiftly. "Why should we hand it over to you?" Ethan challenged, voice laced with defiance. The dealer chuckled darkly. "Because, boys, I can make your lives considerably worse. You think you're safe? Keep digging and I promise, you won't just be losing a piece of jewelry. You'll lose everything you love." Jake's heart raced at those words. Shadows threatened to darken his thoughts. The dealer had a way of capitalizing on fear. "You think you can intimidate us into submission?" Jake pushed back, his own determination flaring up within him. The dealer's gaze hardened. "Not intimidation. Just a reality check. You're not prepared for what lies ahead." A silence settled between them, thick with tension. Jake glanced at Ethan, searching for a signal. They needed to unite against this common enemy, to stand firm together. "No matter what you say, we won't back down," Jake declared with a newfound strength. The dealer's smile faded, replaced by a steely gaze. "We'll see about that." With that, he stood, the threat hanging in the air like a dark cloud. He strode out, leaving an icy chill in his wake. As the door swung shut, Jake felt a rush of adrenaline, both fear and resolve coursed through him. "We need to warn Mary and the others," he said urgently, pushing himself out of the booth. The diner felt smaller now, looming around them. "We can't let him scare us. We have to act, and we need to do it now," Jake said, his voice steady but tinged with urgency. Ethan nodded. "Agreed. I'll reach out to the others. We need a plan that the dealer doesn't see coming." The two rushed out into the night, determination propelling them forward. They were in this together, and they were not going to lie down and accept defeat. The dealer might have his shadows of intimidation, but they had the light of unity. As the sun began to create a soft dawn on the horizon, hope filled Jake's heart. The community that rallied around him was stronger than any fear the dealer could conjure. Together, they would uncover the truth behind the bracelet, revealing the chains that bound their town. Jake and Ethan prepared for the battle ahead, feeling the warmth of support from family, friends, and their collective resolve. They had chosen the path of courage, and it was time to fight for what mattered. The two strategized late into the night, piecing together their findings and reflecting the strength of their community. With every plan, they embraced the hope of what lay ahead, the chance to expose the dealer and, ultimately, reclaim their legacy. And when the sun finally broke, flooding the world with golden light, they stood ready for whatever challenges awaited them. They would protect their families and their past, their hearts beating in unison with unwavering determination and love. As they prepared to meet the dealer again, they steeled themselves for this fight. "No more shadows, Jake," said, his voice resolute. "It's time to shine a light on the truth." With that, they united with their community, ready to face whatever darkness loomed ahead. Now, the story comes to a close, but the fight for truth continues. If you're ready for more tales of courage and community, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for this channel. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread these important stories. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your voice matters. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us uplift others together.